let's turn into the second scene, which is now seen in heaven. So chapter 1, 6 until verse 12. It says here, one day the heavenly beings came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered the Lord, "From going to and fro on the earth, and from walking up and down on it." The Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil." Then Satan answered the Lord, "Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not put a fence around him and his house and all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But stretch out your hand now and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, "Very well, all that he has is in your power. Only do not stretch out your hand against him." So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. So worth commenting on is the heavenly beings. I told you before, like the translation of King James version literally sons of God, B'nai Elohim, who came to present themselves before the Lord, and including belonging to the heavenly beings or sons of God is Satan. Now, don't be surprised if God, heavenly being, Satan are all together in heaven. That's very common in the ancient world, that gods and goddesses, they have an assembly, a council. God is not alone up there, but he has council. Later on, you have the influence of that to our belief of angels and saints. In any case, some years ago, I wrote an article about the gods and goddesses, the assembly of gods and goddesses in the ancient Near East. You can go to the blog again, our blog, and then click on the link. And from last year's course, number 5 here, you see that I posted a while ago, uploaded a while ago, this article that I have written for the Catholic Biblical Association of the Philippines. It was published first here, Bible and Ecology. It's the proceedings of the 8th Annual Convention of the Catholic Biblical Association of the Philippines in 2007. And of course, the paper was presented in July there in Tagaytay City. The keynote speaker at the time is a professor of the Old Testament at the Catholic Theological Union in Chicago, Professor or Sister Diane Bergant. And I was one of the workshops presenters. A small paper, brief paper, but actually my paper was more than 10 pages, single space. So I tried to collect all the stories, the narratives from the ancient Near East, Egypt and Mesopotamia, especially relating to the dynamics of the gods and goddesses, how they meet, how they deliberate, and how they determine the fate of humanity, the destiny of the human being. It's an interesting work. You click on that, and then you can download the scanned copy that was published in Diwa in the earlier, it was 2006, I published first, and then I presented the paper. So you can download that, and you see the title is "The Assembly of the Gods and Goddesses and the Fate of Humanity, a survey of cuneiform texts from the ancient Near East. Cuneiform, that's the way the script of the ancient world. They use the wedge form, the cuneiform. Uh, you can read it's interesting. Just ignore the Hebrew words or the Akkadian words there that I used. Ignore them. Anyway, I made some I saw to it that they are translated. So uh, it's pretty normal then that you have heavenly beings, uh, companions of gods, assembly of the gods and goddesses. But in the case of the Old Testament divine council or heavenly council, you don't have a goddesses, no? Monotheistic belief, no? So of only one God. How about Satan here? No? Well, um, notice that when you go to the translation of the New American Bible Revised Edition, they they use the literal translation. You see, it says here, when the sons of God, you see, came to present themselves before the Lord, thus Satan, notice thus Satan. Unlike the NRSV, it is capitalized. It's a proper name, Satan. And New American Bible is more correct than the NRSV because the Hebrew word is, if you know how to read Hebrew, is there. Hasatan. There's an article, thus Satan. It's not a name. It's not a proper name. It's not the Satan or the devil who would be the arch enemy of God in the final war between God and Satan. That's still to come in the apocalyptic text much later after the Babylonian exile. So the Satan here is better to conceive it as a kind of an office, a role, and his role is as you read it, it's patrolling. So when he was asked where he is coming from, the Satan answered, from going to and fro on earth and from walking up and down on it. What does it mean? Well, it's watching, so guarding. So Satan is a kind of a guardian, a sentinel. What does he guarding human beings, seeing to it that they do what is right and that their motivations are clear. That's why when the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? Have you also watched over Job or checked on Job? No? And then God praised Job. No? He says, there is no one like him on the earth. No? And then he repeats what the author of the book of Job told us a while ago when he introduced us his character, a blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil. So Satan, true to his office, true to his role as one who would check and one who would is concerned of pure motivation of one who is to worship God. So said to the Lord, well, does Job fear God for nothing? For nothing in Hebrew is the word chinam. No? The translation of King James version here is the classic English word. Here it said, does Job fear God for naught? No, meaning that's the old way of saying nothing. Or the NAB has have you noticed my servant Job? And Satan answered, is it for nothing that Job is God-fearing? Was a way of poetic way of saying it. So, well, in short, remove the blessings that you have given him that is surrounding his house and every side. Well, he will. The word is curse you to your face. So, curse you to your face. in Hebrew, the word curse, the word used there is barak, which means bless. So if you're literal about it, you would read something like this: uh, stretch out your hand now and touch all that he has, and he will bless you to your face. Why the word blessed? Maybe the word curse, bless, there is a thin line of differentiation, especially in the world of in the culture of Hebrew of the Hebrews. You when you overdo it, uh, uh, you do it too much, then that become already inordinate. That's sinful already. So you have to strike always at the middle, or what the scholastics say, the virtue is in the middle. Uh, so if you over bless the Lord, you would be equivalent to cursing him. You're just over blessed, meaning you're lying already. You're not true to super abundant words of blessing on the Lord. That's too much. It's too good to be true, as they say in English. So maybe that's why the word blessed means here curse. So the Lord said to Satan, he allows the testing. He allows the challenge of the Satan. Very well, he says, all that he has in your power. Well, only do not stretch out your hand against him, meaning do not touch him personally, do not touch his person. Just the things that have surrounded him, the blessings, his properties, and even his children. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord.